Good evening from Port Orleans Riverside. Today is very special. This is part 2 of our Hollywood Studios day, and we're about to head to dinner. Brand new dinner for us, at least in its current state. It has been recently revamped at 1900 Park Fair.
Yes.
At the Grand Floridian Resort. So some new characters to meet, some new menu items, so excited to check that out. And then after dinner, we have a very exciting thing. We have a DVC fireworks party at Top of the World Lounge at Bailey Tower.
The Enchantment at the top.
Yes.
The special DVC exclusive event.
Yes.
And it's my birthday eve.
Yes.
So we are celebrating and we're doing it up big.
So full review of 1900 Park Fair, full review of Enchantment at the Top, and we're also going to try out the minivan service today. So we'll share our thoughts on that as well. So come along with us, and let's go. As for our experience with the minivan, we really enjoyed it. This is a Disney-operated service available through Lyft, and while it is an upcharge compared to a traditional Lyft rental, you're picked up in a stylish Minnie Mouse SUV and whisked away by Disney cast members. When we booked this, it was about $40 each way plus gratuity, but I would imagine this may vary based on demand, as traditional Lyft does. We decided to splurge for this since we were going to an event with an open bar, and since it is very difficult to transfer from resort to resort with Disney transportation. With the high price tag, it isn't something to use all the time, but for a special occasion, we thought it was definitely worth the splurge. Okay, so we are back from our evening full of festivities. Mm-hmm. First up was 1900 Park Fair dinner. This was our first time going here since pre-COVID. So menu has changed, characters have changed, all new. Recently reopened in I think June of last year, give or take. So only been open a couple months.
Less than a year. It has been reopened for less than a year.
So overall, I will say the food was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Nothing spectacular, but several good things. The prime rib was seasoned very well. The salmon was very good when it was good.
The first piece of salmon I had was one of the last ones in the pan. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. And it was dry.
Yeah.
But the second piece, because I was like, I need to give this another go. The second piece was good.
And then there was a lemon cream pasta that was very good.
That was a surprise.
Yes. And the mashed potatoes were very good, very creamy.
Fan of mashed potatoes, and
probably the star of the whole buffet was the gumbo. Mm-hmm. Tiana's gumbo. Character-wise is now you get to meet Mirabel, which is the only character you can meet Mirabel, which is fun. You get to meet Aladdin in his kind of Prince Ali outfit, which was fun. You get to meet Cinderella. So always nice to see Cinderella, especially when you were wearing your tiara.
Well, it used to be Cinderella's dinner.
Right.
Because it was Cinderella, Prince Charming, the two sisters, and the mom.
Yes. And then the last character you get to meet here now is Tiana, but not in her dress, in her outfit from Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is fun. Only place ever you can meet her in that outfit.
And it's the only character meal with Tiana, because Tiana's dress is too big to fit anywhere.
To fit through the tables and everything.
So Tiana has never been in a character dining experience before now, because Tiana is now in an outfit that will fit between the tables.
Right. But overall, I thought the food was very good.
The characters were very fun. They were very on message and on brand.
Yeah.
Because it was all about
wishing.
Yes.
All the characters that can make a wish.
And sometimes they had help, but they had the power within themselves to do it all along.
Right.
So you have the power to do it within yourself too. And you're supposed to do the wishing ceremony and wave your stuff, but your little wishing star you waved was also your autograph card.
Yes. And they were also signing autographs as well as the card, they did say, which was interesting. I've never seen that done. If they give you a card, typically they're not signing. So they were signing as well as the cards. But yeah.
I will say, especially compared to Crystal Palace yesterday, this felt like zoom zoom, super fast.
Yeah, we saw all of the characters before our second helping
Yeah.
at the buffet. So, very, very fast. So,
We basically sat down and Mirabel was there, and 2 tables over was Aladdin.
I mean, we saw Mirabel and Aladdin before I got up, because I stayed at the table while you went and got food.
Right.
And by the time you came back, it was Mirabel, Aladdin, then I went up.
But I will say, because of that, my food was a little cold by the time I got to it, because I was like, I can't eat anything. Aladdin's coming.
Yes. But yeah, overall, great meal. It is expensive. I'll put the price down below. Great value for a table service credit for the dining plan. I don't know that I would pay that much for it otherwise, but
I would not.
It's also, if you have somebody who just absolutely loves Mirabel, dining or
Tiana
or Aladdin or Cinderella.
You can see Cinderella other places.
True.
So I think if you're really into Cinderella, I don't know that this is the place to go.
Character dining as a whole, though, does save you a lot of time in the parks because you don't have to wait for the characters. You can meet all of them individually except for Tiana, and Aladdin is kind of hard to find, especially in that outfit.
Yeah.
But Mirabel does meet Magic Kingdom, and then Cinderella is elsewhere.
Cinderella's around.
Yes. But
we had cocktails. I had the passion fruit daiquiri. It was good.
I don't remember what mine was called.
Ravi will.
I'll put it down below, but it was the whiskey-based one. It was very, very good. Probably my second favorite one of the trip thus far. Well, up to this point, I will say. But, yes, it was basically like a whiskey sour adjacent drink. I think it was called the Gold Rush. That sounds right. But I'll put it down below. And then that was kind of our
dinner.
Oh, well, I guess we had dessert there too.
Yes.
Star dessert by far was the strawberry soup.
Yes.
But I will say the blueberry cheesecake was surprisingly very good.
Yeah.
Typically,
that was the best, like, actual dessert.
Yeah.
Because the strawberry soup they have at breakfast as well, and
True.
it's more of a smoothie bowl type dessert. So, but those were definitely the 2 favorites.
Yeah. The cheesecake at a lot of the other buffets is very, very dense. This was so light and fluffy that was surprising.
They also rolled the blueberries on top in edible glitter.
They did.
Which was very funny.
For the chocolate lovers, they had a like mini molten chocolate lava cake-esque thing that they had a creme anglaise you could put on top. That was super good, but super rich. But I think my favorite overall was probably the strawberry soup and the cheesecake. So, yeah.
Those were my favorites.
But that kind of wrapped up our time at Grand Floridian. And after Grand Floridian, hopped on the monorail, took it over to Contemporary for our cap of the evening at Bay Lake Tower for Enchantment at the Top, which was a DVC exclusive event. This is offered every Friday within reason. I think it can be reserved for special events and whatnot, but for the most part, most Fridays, it is $89 a person, and it is desserts and open bar starting 90 minutes before fireworks, and then last call is right after fireworks. But this was interesting. So
there were things that were really good, and there were things that were less good.
Yes. Food-wise, they had 6 different desserts. There was a mini layer cake, which is similar to the cake they have at Steakhouse 71 and the one that they had at Top of the World Lounge previously and might still with the Wicked Villains layer stuff. But very, very good mini 7-layer cake. There was a strawberry shortcake cupcake, which was also very, very good. Very fluffy topping. Mm-hmm. There was a key lime pie. There was macarons. There was probably those were the top 4, and the bottom 2 were, I think it was a raspberry cheesecake trifle.
It tasted like a slightly better version of the Jell-O cheesecake cups.
Yeah. First bite was decent, and then after that, it's like, this isn't really worth eating.
There were other things that were better to eat.
Right.
So,
I will say, though, on top of that was a white chocolate coated like cornflake, which we've had before at California Grill, I think on one of the children's desserts, which is so good.
yeah.
But that was just the top of the little cheesecake trifle. And then probably my least favorite, even though I love chocolate, was the brownie. It was just so dense.
I didn't bother to try it.
Yeah. Not my fave, but my favorite by far was the 7-layer cake. The key lime pie, though, was very good.
I was vibing with the key lime pie.
For being a like buffet-esque key lime pie, it was very good. And then as far as the drinks go, we did get some of the drinks that were part of the villains menu, just to try those since it was open bar for the full time.
Well, it's the villain's lair. We wanted to try the stuff. I will also say this was our first time since the retheme.
Yes.
It has been rethemed for quite a while.
Yes.
I also will say that I feel like retheme is a really strong phrase for what was done to the lounge. Because there's a little bit of artwork.
And the TV that showed villains.
Yeah.
And then they took down the artwork behind the bar that was just like the monorail, and now it's just a window.
Yeah. So, because I walked in expecting a little more villains.
That's fair.
And got big chandelier instead. Which was very pretty. But it was definitely not spooky.
Right.
And I think we're so used to the really immersive lounges on Disney Cruise Line since we've been cruising so much that I was like, ooh, villain's lair. And then got up there and went, ooh, regular lounge with some art.
Yeah.
But I mean, with that being said, it was still very nice. We did not get to choose our seat.
Right.
As another thing. We were assigned a table.
I think we got pretty lucky, though.
We
I
did.
liked
We were by
ours.
the window.
By the window. We each had like a swivel chair. We probably 4 swivel chairs with like a low table, not like a traditional like table and dining chairs, whatnot. So that was nice, very relaxing. But
back to the beverages.
well, we were also welcomed with a glass of cava.
Cava.
So that was fun, a little reminiscent of our European adventures in Spain.
Yes.
But
made us miss Barcelona.
yes, for sure.
Let's go back to Barcelona.
Yes. But beyond the cava, we were welcome to order anything off the menu or just anything that they could make at their open bar. So we started off the menu, and they have 6 different alcoholic cocktails themed to different villains.
Mm-hmm.
So you started with the Cursed Pirate, which I believe is Barbossa.
I was a little confused if it was Captain Hook or Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. But then it was garnished with
A black pearl,
a black pearl, which was a
black cherry.
black cherry.
And then the Cursed
So-
Pirate also makes sense for Barbossa versus Captain
Yeah.
Hook.
So then I was like, okay, figured it out.
But this was rum and passion fruit, pineapple, lime juice, sugar, blue curacao, and was very sweet.
It was basically a rum martini.
Yeah.
It was actually rather similar to the drink that I had at dinner, the passion fruit daiquiri, but I liked that one better. This one was just so sweet that it was, I wish, had I been paying out of pocket for it, I would have liked the size, but wanting to try other things and everything, I wished it was about half the size.
True.
I did not finish this drink. It was good. I think if we were going up there, I might order it again, but I think there were some other more interesting options.
Yeah.
So that was my first one.
My first one was the Man in the Forest, which is themed to the hunter from Bambi. and this was Widow Jane Straight Bourbon, Martini and Rossi Sweet Vermouth, Blandy's 10-year Madeira, baking spices, and ginger bitters. I will say I did try to order this without the vermouth. I'm not really a fan of vermouth, but our server did say that that cocktail, and probably all 6 of them, are pre-mixed.
Yeah, we did not know that going in. And we don't know if that's the case for...
Always.
Any other cocktails, if that's an all-the-time thing,
right,
or what. So keep that in mind if you're somebody who, whether you're going to this event or just the villain's lair, just on your own time.
Yes.
That those, at least that drink tonight was a batch cocktail.
But with that being said, he did say you can't taste the vermouth, so like you should be fine. Ordered it, couldn't taste the vermouth at all. And it was great. I love my drink. Would definitely get that one again if we were to go for this again. It was the most expensive cocktail on the menu at $24, so I would not necessarily pay for this out of pocket, but it was very good. And then the second round, we ordered a couple different things. So I stayed on the menu and then also went off menu. You went off menu, and we kind of stayed off menu the rest of the night for the most part. So
we ended on menu.
Yes, we ended on menu. But the next one on menu that I ordered was the Other Side, which is themed to Dr. Facilier.
Which we kind of shared this drink.
We did. This one I loved. It was vodka, creme de violet liqueur, blueberry, orange blossom honey, and fresh lemon. For whatever reason, first sip tasted like blackberries, but then after I learned that it was honey in there, it just tasted like honey. It was great. If
you're a person who likes honey like myself, it was basically a weird liquid version of wildflower honey. It was a little bit floral, and then that just super strong honey flavor. So it was very interesting. If we had gone, it was something that I wish that I had food with.
I agree.
Because that was one thing that was difficult with this event, was that a lot of the drinks were super sweet.
And you just have sweet stuff
and
to
you
with
have
it.
Desserts to go with it, which is really, really fun. But I think we would have liked some of the drinks a little bit better if we had not been drowning in sugar.
True.
But again, I think the Man in the Forest
and the Other Side.
And the Other Side were probably the 2 strongest on-menu cocktails.
That we tried, at least.
Yeah.
We also got some off-menu here. So you got a whiskey sour.
I asked for a limoncello margarita.
True.
They did not have limoncello. So then I said, how about a whiskey sour? And it was delivered to our little table, and it looked like Sprite.
It was so clear.
And
comparatively.
It was probably like the worst whiskey sour I've ever tried.
Yes.
I drank a couple sips and I just was like, no.
In the same batch, I also ordered a Blanton's Old Fashioned, which was fantastic. And in my little video, it's the Blanton's Old Fashioned, the Other Side, and the whiskey sour. And the other side's purple, but the other 2 are both whiskey drinks, and it is a clear color difference.
Yeah.
That is the lightest whiskey sour I've ever seen.
I don't know what happened. I don't know if they forgot the whiskey.
Yeah, the whiskey.
Or what. But it was not good.
Yeah.
I think that was the only actively bad drink that we had.
Yeah.
Nothing else was bad. That was bad.
Yeah.
And if we had ordered that to pay for it, I would have been upset.
Right. So.
But in this instance, it was okay.
True. And then he did offer us a drink to take out with fireworks. Couldn't get it to us before fireworks, but he did bring it to us outside for the
During
fireworks. We did have a reserved fireworks viewing area specifically for the event, which was nice, on the outdoor terrace outside of Top of the World Lounge. And of course, got to enjoy the lovely fireworks of Happily Ever After with a minimal crowd, so that was always nice. It's always nice to watch the fireworks with no crowd, elbow to elbow on Main Street, and have a cocktail in hand is always an extra benefit too.
There was also a grandpa with like a chocolate martini or something dancing.
Yes, it was great.
It was really lovely to watch during the fireworks. So we had lots of entertainment.
Yeah. And then after fireworks ended,
the firework drink was another Blanton's Old Fashioned.
Yes.
We each had one.
Yes.
But the Blanton's Old Fashions also were not your typical pour.
They were probably about double the size of a typical old-fashioned pour. So
because that made me wonder if the bartender maybe wasn't the most experienced bartender.
Yeah.
Because that's not your typical.
It was made very well, but the size of the pour was a lot more than usual.
It was like a double.
But, yeah. And then after fireworks, they did a last call. Not many people stayed after fireworks.
And I said, no more booze.
Yeah. You had a good idea, though, because we wanted to try some more of the drinks on the menu. So we tried the specialty non-alcoholic drink, which was themed to Scar, called the Lion's Uncle. And this was basically a Shirley Temple with orange sherbet. And it is orange sherbet, Sprite, and grenadine. This was great.
It was probably my favorite drink of the entire evening. Because I am a child at heart. But our server basically said, it's basically a Shirley Temple with a scoop of sherbet in it. And we were like, great. Bring around.
Yeah.
And he did. And they obviously pre-scooped everything, the little balls that dropped into the drinks, because they were rock hard. Yeah. And you had to kind of work at it to break it up. But once it was mixed in and you had broken up the orange glob in your drink, then it was very good.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
Definitely a good choice for a kid.
Yes. And I mean, for the adults, it was $7.25 if you had paid out of pocket. So for us, it was a fun way to end the night.
Yeah. I
feel like we got our money's worth. I feel like we didn't overdo it because, again, we weren't finishing everything.
True.
We were trying not to be wasteful, but if things weren't wholly to our tastes, we weren't gonna make ourselves ill.
Yeah. I will say the biggest negative that we've talked about for this event is there is one bartender server that goes around all the tables for probably 30 to 35-ish people in the party, so it's pretty slow.
There were 4 cast members at the event. Yes. There was a host who sat people, who was very nice. We had a table next to us, somebody was vegan, so obviously could not partake in
most of the desserts.
So they offered her I think a fruit plate, and they were very nice and very accommodating for her. He did a good job.
Yes.
And then there was, I think, a dedicated bartender. And she stayed back behind the bar. Then there was the main server, and then there was kind of an assistant server who mainly just filled waters.
The bartender that was like primarily just at the bar was there mostly for the non-party goers, because you could still go to the like balcony area to watch the fireworks and the views.
But they were only offering beer and wine.
Right. So people were coming in, buying stuff, and taking it back outside, because the lounge itself was closed off to just the party goers.
Yes.
We all had wristbands for the party.
I already slid mine off of my scrawny wrist.
So they did keep track of who was part of the party and who was not. And we did try to go to the bar to order more drinks to speed up the process, but we were told
had been waiting a while.
Sit back down and they would be right with us, because it was taking quite a bit, because there were 35-ish people in the room, so it took a while to get around the room. But we did ask, and you are able to order 2 drinks at a time, which is why for the second round, we got 3 drinks at once rather than just 2. But something to keep in mind for the future.
I think if they had another server that it would...
Exponentially better.
Yeah, I think that would solve a lot of the problems.
Yes.
I mean, maybe there's supposed to be 2 and somebody called out tonight. I don't know. I don't know if this is typical. But that was the least best element of the night. That the service was good, but incredibly slow.
Yeah. But still a great night.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely to try all the drinks. Still have an open bar to try stuff that we actually like.
There were a lot of children.
A lot of children.
This was not
there.
an adults-only event.
Yes.
I don't know that this would be worth it for children with the price tag.
I think it's the same price per person, not really per adult and per child, so I think it's even out across the board.
Unless they're just pounding those...
Lion's Uncle.
Yeah, those Lion's Uncle drinks. Which, I mean, just keep them coming.
Right.
But the children did not seem to enjoy it as much as the adults.
Right.
I will also say there were some fussy kids. But overall, the adults seemed to be having a grand old time.
Yeah.
All the adults around us. Everybody seemed to have a very nice time. Because then it leads to the question of, is it worth it and would we do it again?
I think for a special occasion, it's worth it for sure.
I think if you partake in alcohol...
Yeah. If you don't drink, I don't think it would be worth it for you.
Because if you're booking it, that means you're DVC. And if you're DVC, you can already go up to the lounge anyway.
True.
So you might need to get there earlier to have as good of a spot for fireworks, but you would be paying all that money unless you just want to be pounding the Lion's Uncle drinks.
True.
And maybe then that would be worth it. But basically, I don't know that this is worth it for children or people who do not drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Or who really just don't like dessert.
True.
It was sweet, 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 sweet. Which also surprised me a little bit being in the villain's lair.
Yeah.
Because I thought the desserts might be themed.
Yeah, the desserts
and there
were
was
not themed
no
at all.
theming at all.
That's a good point.
So, basically, I think it's a really nice event. I think if you're celebrating something special, like my 30th birthday, I think it was a really fun choice. We had a really nice time. This isn't something we would do all the time, that's for sure.
I think we would do it again.
I think we would do it again under certain circumstances.
Yeah.
If we were celebrating something or just wanted a really big night out.
Yeah. So
that's basically it. This is definitely not an all-the-time thing, but a lot of Disney is not an all-the-time thing.
Right. Definitely not a one and done, but not an every time. For sure. So, there you have it. There is our full review of 1900 Park Fair with the new revamped menu, new characters, etc. And the exclusive DVC Enchantment at the top at Top of the World Lounge. So, yeah.
I'm just so full of food and sweet things.
Yes, very, very flavorful and rich evening. Sweet finish to the evening, but yeah.
Tired again.
Tired. It's been a long day. It's hard to think that today was also for Hollywood Studios Day. For the last couple hours, just we're a day in itself. But yeah, tomorrow.
I'm already in pajamas. But y'all know these are my nice pajamas. I've got a collared shirt on. We both have collared shirts on.
This is true. Tomorrow's a very big day, though, because tomorrow's your birthday.
It is.
So, lots to do, lots of fun stuff planned.
We should stay up until midnight and then I can cry because I'm old. I'm kidding. We'll start partying.
Yeah. But tomorrow's our Animal Kingdom Day, so stay tuned for that. And have some more meals planned for tomorrow as well. So lots of exciting stuff to come. But that will do it for us today. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you real soon.